Hey everybody, it's Charlie and Nathan from Daily Motor, and you all come to our channel for a lot of sound tests on a lot of new cars. We test all the fancy things, the not so fancy things, and get our real world observations on those sound systems. But a lot of people still have cars that have classic DIN or double DIN stereo systems and would like to bring their car into the 21st century with some extra technology and some more features and usability. And that is what Ousmin provided here with this OXA8 Pro touchscreen audio system, stereo system, if you will, head unit is probably the proper term, that we installed in Nathan's 2002 Ford Explorer. The install process was pretty darn straightforward. It's going to change dramatically for the type of vehicle you're putting it in, and Ousmin's not really going to provide the specific directions for how to get it into your car, but as long as you have what's called a double DIN radio setup here, you should be able to install this system into your car. And they have a few different models as well, depending on how much you want to spend and kind of what features you're looking for. But this is one of the top dog models. It's got all sorts of things: wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, backup camera support, phone support. What else? Am I missing anything? It's auxiliary USBs. I mean, it really is a lot that you can do with this system, and pretty darn reasonably priced for everything it does too, having this one coming in about $300. Our install process took a little bit longer because I wasn't super bright and I forgot to use a wiring harness. Pro tip, make sure if you are going to be swapping out for a pretty standard vehicle like this, go to O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Walmart, Amazon even, buy yourself a factory wiring harness adapter. That'll save you a lot of time. We had to go through and manually splice together all the different wires and make sure our fuses were fixed and everything. But once we finally got this thing installed, we have it looking nice right here, right in the factory setup of this 2002 Ford Explorer. So let's get right on into some of the things you can do with this system. Go to the home screen. You can see it is a very responsive touch screen. Got a decent refresh rate. This is kind of our home right now. It's giving us time, our various apps, and our audio control. You can see I can press that right there, and we get our classic Daily Motor music starting up. These are even seek buttons right here. Maybe. Okay, maybe not. I don't know why that's not seeking. It must have something to do with my USB track. Do you know if... Oh yeah, this is actually very much out of order for some reason. Oh, I bet you if I were to go over here to sound test, there we go. Look how quickly I can change between tracks. Do you know if you're using Bluetooth music, if you press these, they work?
I've never tried them.
All right, we'll have to test that a little bit later. But you can see, unlike even a lot of new car systems, we actually have a physical volume knob right here with some good clicks. We've got these physical track controls. We've got a physical home button right there, which is really nice. What else can you do on here? Definitely got your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We'll do some Android Auto demoing here in a moment. A lot of other things you can do. We can switch right over to radio. And here you've got your various FM presets right there, which we don't use too often, but definitely something you can do. Quick side note, one thing Nathan did notice is you'd think pushing down on the volume knob would give you a mute, but it actually doesn't. It gives you the phone voice command, right? Yeah, so he pointed out that's a little bit frustrating sometimes if you're driving down the road and you accidentally hit a bump and click it. Fortunately, there is a good amount of resistance, but I can see how if you had your finger on there, you could hit it. I'm just surprised that's not a mute for some reason. Interesting. I mean, I guess it could be nice though if you wanted to just do in some quick navigation type thing.
Yeah.
You do have a USB-A port in right here, and then there's a second auxiliary USB-A that you can wrap in and say put into your glove box or something like that if you wanted a more permanent input. Admittedly, Nathan and I did skimp over a few of the features of this installing because, like, for example, it comes with a backup camera, which I'm sure works really well, but not only did we not want to wire the wiring all the way into the back, but we also don't have a reverse sensor wired into this head unit. So a newer car that did have a backup camera already installed would have a wire to indicate that the car is being put in reverse and automatically bring up the backup camera. But if Nathan and I were to have hooked up the backup camera to this, he would have had to manually click on camera.
Right there.
Yeah, the F camera here in order to bring up the camera each time. And I imagine you probably wouldn't bother to do that every time you're in reverse. But it's certainly a feature there that people can use. Then you have your Bluetooth. That's pretty straightforward. Do that a little bit more later. Oh, looks like you've got Sirius XM going through your phone right now. That's cool. Very cool. Nice how quick and easy that comes up. And your phone can obviously dial in a quick number, make phone calls. That's pretty straightforward. And you get a microphone that comes up through, and you can actually stick right kind of wherever you think it's going to best look in your car and best pick up your sound. Have you ever clicked serve?
I have.
What does it do?
Can't remember.
Oh, if you want to go to their websites, you can see Ousmin.com and their email address in case you need to get to them and ask them why your mute button doesn't work the way you think it should. All sorts of settings you can go through. You can get Wi-Fi on this, do various updates and connections. You can change backgrounds for the wallpaper here. There are a few different stock options, but if you were to put some on your USB stick, you could get some more in there, change your language, date and time, calibrate the touch screen, a lot of straightforward elements on it here. Another thing is you can actually go through a lot of different EQ settings. So let me go back to our USB music right here, USB. Turn up some of our sound system music, and I'll go through some of our EQs. I really appreciate this. For example, I was testing the Land Rover Discovery back there, and the sound was really good, but it only provided treble, bass, and subwoofer adjustments. There's no more EQ, whereas you get a system like this, you've got a lot of kind of standard adjustments you can go through over here in EQ that are kind of preset. You got classic, rock, jazz, electric, pop, soft. But then you can also manually go through and really fine tune. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different bands that you can adjust. So if Nathan just wants to be a savage and throw a subwoofer in his car and just completely blast out on the bass hits, then you can just get all bass going through your car. Or you could crank up the treble and get rid of the bass, maybe if you're listening to talk radio or something. And you can really, really customize this, and that's something that I really appreciate. And if you screw it up, you just there's probably some sort of, you could either reset in the settings, or you can just switch back over to something like classic here, rock, etc. Standard. A lot of different options. I really appreciate that. Here is a little, if you want a manual or a touchscreen volume adjust, that's kind of neat rather than using the knob. Can you hold that for mute or anything? So there doesn't seem to be a quick way to mute this, is there? That you found. So. Okay. I guess, but since there is a knob, you can literally just go like that. I mean, that's pretty darn easy. So let's take this out and go for a little bit of a drive, listen to a few of our sample tracks on it, and kind of get some more of Nathan's impressions. So you've had this system in your car for a few weeks. What are some of the pros and cons you've noticed about it?
There haven't really been any bad things I've noticed about it. It's in a lot of ways better than a lot of the systems I see in new cars. It's definitely like having the volume knob. The resolution's good. It's very responsive. And I like being able to customize like you were just going through the sound settings and all that.
Let's actually turn it off and on real quick and get the Android Auto to come up. So we're actually going to plug in Nathan's phone, not because the wireless doesn't work, but we don't want to completely go through the process of re-enabling that for his device because he doesn't want to use the wireless CarPlay all that often, or Android Auto, but we should show how it works.
Do you name it Rolls Royce when we put it in?
No. I wonder if they did that. It's kind of funny. But here you can see Android Auto coming up. All very responsive. You got your YouTube music. You can play music right from there. All your various apps. I mean, this responds better than a lot of the new cars that we test. So you can see if we were to drive around, Nathan's got his navigation in a car that's 21 years old, then he could actually have Google Maps kind of coming up right here if you needed to do any sort of navigation. One thing that a lot of other people like is being able to have Waze going. So say if you're on a road trip and you just want to be able to see where police are or road hazards or something, you can have Waze going right there. It's not the largest screen, but it is enough to be able to just kind of peek down there and see what's going. Oh, it does seem to have disconnected. It's interesting. Passkey. Oh, now it seems to be wanting to connect via Bluetooth again.
Problem with wireless Android Auto is when I was using it, it was sucking down the battery so hard.
That is a good point.
I could have it plugged in and it would still not charge.
Wow. So yeah, I think if you click that, then it goes into wireless Android Auto mode. So you can see now, I disconnect the cable, he's still connected. wireless Android Auto coming up there. But that is a very good
Yeah.
point about wireless CarPlay or Android Auto.
And watch this, if I try and turn the Bluetooth off on my phone, it just reconnects it.
Yeah, it'll re-enable. Yep. So that is something to keep in mind if you do plan on using wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. And a lot of new cars that have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto have wireless device chargers, so it kind of offsets that. Let's drive around, listen to some music. If you think of any other things that have kind of come to you thought-wise about this, just let us know. One of the good things about being able to customize an EQ so in depth like that for a car like this is obviously this head unit was not originally married up to this car, so you're gonna want to tweak things. Right now it's sounding pretty hollow, but I know if I were to spend some time and go in the EQ, I could tune that hollowness out and make it sound better for these speakers. So if you do want to modernize your older car, I mean, it doesn't even need to be that old. This will even work with newer cars that they've got, like I said, the backup cameras, the infotainment. As long as you can make this fit, essentially, you can probably adapt the wires and put the system into your car, and you're getting it for a lot cheaper than some of the other super high-end, like Pioneer style head units. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's functioning just about the same. The resolution's good, the touch sensitivity's been really good, it's been a stable system, and at just a few $100s for depending on sort of what your needs are, it's kind of hard to argue with that. So if you guys are interested in purchasing one of these, I'll throw the link in the description to this one and kind of the Ousmin store. If you do use our code DailyMotor, we'll get 10% off, or 10% back. I think you might get 10% off. Either way, we get 10%. So it definitely helps support Daily Motor. And yeah, I mean, you get a pretty darn cool touchscreen system that sounds good and works well, easy to use, and most importantly to us, has a volume knob. So we'll report back if anything screwy happens with the system as we own it. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for Ousmin for sponsoring this system and letting us test it out. And thanks to Nathan for volunteering his Explorer in order to try it. And we'll see you on the next one. We're Charlie and Nathan with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.